What's up guys, my name's Liam and today we're going to be taking a look at the brand new Asus ROG Harpe Ace Mini. I do really like the original Harpe Ace. I've just always kind of felt like the size felt a little bit too long for me. So with that being said, I was really excited to get my hands on this. In this video, I'm going to break this down, compare it to the competition, and hopefully I'll be able to help you decide whether or not this could possibly be the perfect gaming mouse for you. So let's check it out. Before we get started today, I did want to let you know this was sent out to me. However, everything you're going to be hearing in this video is going to be my own words and my own opinions. Included inside the box, it does come with this little baggie that the mouse itself came in, some additional documentation, ROG stickers, also included with these larger set style skates, which I really do appreciate. It does come out of the box with these corner skates on, and I do prefer larger skates myself, so I do plan on putting those on there when this review is done. It also does come with these grips, and they do feel rubberized, a USB-C to Type-A cable, and here is the 1K receiver and the dongle adapter this does come included with. Now I do want to let you know out of the gate that this does actually go up to an 8,000 hertz polling rate, but what it comes included with, this only allows you to go up to 1K. If you have an existing ROG polling rate booster from a previous mouse, you can use it with this one, or you would need to actually purchase this separately. So once you do pick this up, you can use it however you want. You can plug it straight in the back of the PC or do some type of a setup like this. So you will need this in order to get the 2K, 4K, or the 8,000 hertz polling rate. So continue on to the bottom layout, same layout before that we've seen on the Asus Harpe Ace Extreme, for example. You do have a Bluetooth option up here. Put it in the middle to turn it off. This would enable the wireless receiver. When you're using this in wired mode, you do have to have it set to this middle setting. And then over here, it does have a DPI button and the pair button and the same skates as before. And I actually do enjoy these skates. As for the shell integrity and the coating, this actually does have a coating on it. It does feel pretty grippy. I was messing around with getting my hands wet, and yeah, I mean, it feels really good. So typically I do like to put the grips on this. I would feel like I wouldn't need to use the grips on this, but as you can see, this still does have gills. So where these aren't like very aggressive, you do still feel a texture there on your fingers. And honestly, I'd prefer not to have them on this mouse, especially with the coating on here. I don't really feel like they're necessary anymore. But the overall build of this, it does feel really good and solid. Now, if I were to push really hard, I can get some flex there. Nothing that I've noticed as I've been using this just in general in game. If I were to press really hard here in the middle, as you can see, I can get some flex and I can actually activate the side buttons. But again, like I said, when I'm gripping this in game, I actually do have a pretty strong grip. Nothing that I notice as I'm normally using the mouse. This is also using their ROG optical switches, and I do like these optical switches more than the opticals that Logitech is using in their mice. This does kind of feel similar to me as the Razer opticals, though these do feel a little bit more snappy. And the implementation on this is pretty good. Just a slight minimal amount of play there. Nothing too noticeable. You do get a little bit of post travel there, and you can push into the shell. But aside from that, the click implementation on this actually does feel really good. If you were to come up here at the very top, it does get a little bit more heavy, but pretty consistent all the way from about this point all the way down to the bottom. And I'm not getting any noticeable play. It's actually really solid. As I try and go back and forth, you get like no movement. The scroll does kind of feel similar to the previous iterations of their scroll wheels. There's some tensioning there, but I would say it's a little bit on the lighter end, and it does kind of have a feeling of the smaller steps. And the center scroll click isn't too stiff. It actually is pretty easy to actuate and even spam if you needed to do so. And then lastly, when it comes to the side buttons back here in the rear, you do get a little bit of play, but nothing too bad. You can kind of push into the shell there, and there is some rocking back and forth on these switches. But once you get towards the middle, you get like almost no pre-travel, and there still is just a little bit of post-travel there with being able to push in a little bit, but nothing too bad. The feeling of these side buttons have felt pretty good for me in game. And then over here on the front, a little bit more stiff. You don't get like hardly any play from the front and back. So I found with these Asus mice that they have a pretty consistent build, or at least that's been my experience for the most part. So let's go ahead and drop the click quality sound check. For the weight and balance, everything on the balance has been feeling spot on for me with this mouse. So go ahead and throwing it on the scale with the corner skates. Looks like I got it at 49.3 grams. Here's a quick look at the software. It's the same software as the previous Asus mice that I've already gone over. It does give you options to adjust the DPI, polling rate. You even have some cool adjustments that you can make with the liftoff distance here to try and customize it to your setup. And though this software doesn't allow you to adjust the bounce settings, since they're using the optical switches, you should be getting the lowest click latency regardless of what polling rate you're using. The performance of these Asus gaming mice really do feel fantastic. So everything from the wireless connectivity all the way down to the click latency is all top notch. So when it comes to the shape of the Harpe Ace Mini, very clearly it's just a smaller scaled down version of the original Harpe Ace. So here's just a quick overview on what all the types of different angles and dimensions of this mouse looks like compared to the original. I do feel like the overall shape of this mouse is actually really unique. And in fact, I was sitting here as I was using it, I was trying to ponder exactly what this compares to. And I don't necessarily really know of anything that stands out as being very close to this. It almost does kind of give you a rear hump feeling, but as you can see, it does kind of taper off more aggressively. So even when comparing it to more rear hump mice, they kind of have more of an aggressive hump back in that area back there. So this does allow you to get pretty locked in, and I don't feel like it's too narrow for the overall size of it, but this has been kind of my grip style on it, some type of an aggressive claw grip. So yeah, I mean, the shape on this, it honestly felt really cool. I actually had to use ELO shapes to try and use their same type of a mouse shape function that they're now offering in their software to try and find what it's similar to. It did recommend the S2 for me. And as I was going back and forth comparing them, there are some similarities here. You can see the curve profile on the bottom, not a whole lot farther apart, even though it is more aggressively flared out on the rear over here, but just the grip width in the middle. The Harpe Ace Mini does feel even a little bit wider than the S2. And then looking at the curve profile from the top, as you can see, this does have that flatter curve profile, where this one is a little bit more rounded. And then looking at the hump profile on the side, as I was stating earlier, this does have a bit more of that aggressive rear hump presence in this area back here, where this one just feels a little bit more rounded, and it kind of has a little bit more flare out down there on the bottom. Alright guys, so that about wraps things up on the Asus ROG Harpe Ace Mini. And I really do feel like they've done a really fantastic job with this mouse. The only thing I can really critique about it is, again, these gills on the side. I do kind of wish that they would remove them. And it is a little bit of a bummer, the fact that this does not come included with the polling rate booster. For me personally, I do know there are people out there that don't really care about the higher polling rates. So I guess if you are one of those people, then that wouldn't really be much of a concern to you. But yeah, aside from that, just the feeling of this, I really do like this shape a lot. Again, just the width of it. It's been really comfortable for me to use, and the clicks, the coating, everything on it, it does feel pretty solid. The fact it comes with bigger skates, even huge plus. So really solid stuff coming from Asus this year, as there's not a whole lot of big brand, smaller types of mice out there that I feel like can really compete with this or that are on this level. So I would say this, alongside something like the Razer Viper V3 Pro, have been some of my favorite big brand gaming mice releases of the year. Alright guys, so if you have any questions or feel like I left anything out, please let me know down in the comments below. If you've enjoyed watching this video and are interested in seeing more videos like this in the future, please drop this video a like and subscribe to my channel. And thank you guys so much for watching. I look forward to seeing you in the next one.